Have you ever been judged by how you look or what you wear? In today's story, a maid at a fancy brunch is treated like she's nothing, until one shocking reveal flips the entire room upside down. You don't want to miss this. The sun hung high over the sprawling estate of the Montgomery family, casting a golden hue over the manicured lawns and grandiose marble columns. The air was thick with the scent of freshly bloomed roses and the faint clink of crystal glasses. It was the day of the annual charity gala, a gathering of the city's elite to showcase their generosity. Among the crowd, a woman moved with quiet grace, her presence almost invisible yet undeniably essential. Her name was Naomi Carter, a woman whose life was a tapestry of contrasts. Dressed in a pristine black and white uniform, she navigated the sea of opulence with the poise of someone who had seen it all, yet remained unseen. Naomi's role was simple: to serve. She refilled glasses, cleared plates, and ensured the guests' needs were met without a word. Her movements were fluid, practiced, and efficient, like a dancer performing a routine she had perfected over years. As she passed by a group of guests, their laughter filled the air, sharp and condescending. "I heard she has a PhD in something," one remarked, her voice dripping with mockery. "Probably in cleaning," another chimed in, earning a round of laughter. Naomi's face remained impassive, her gaze fixed ahead, but inside a storm was brewing. Unbeknownst to them, Naomi Carter was not just a maid. She was Dr. Naomi Carter, a renowned neuroscientist whose research had revolutionized the understanding of brain plasticity. Her foundation had funded several of the gala's initiatives, including the scholarship program for underprivileged students. As the evening progressed, Naomi continued her duties, her mind sharp and focused. She overheard snippets of conversation, each more ignorant than the last. "I can't believe they let someone like her handle the wine," one guest sneered. Naomi's grip tightened on the tray she carried, but she did not respond. Then a voice cut through the chatter. "Excuse me, miss," a man called out. Naomi turned, her expression neutral. "Could you bring me the Chardonnay from the cellar?" he asked, his tone dismissive. Naomi nodded and walked away, her mind racing. She had heard that tone before, the one that saw her as nothing more than a servant. As she descended into the cellar, Naomi's thoughts turned inward. She had worked hard to get here, to be more than what they saw. But no matter how high she rose, there would always be those who saw her as less. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. Tonight, she would show them who she truly was. Upstairs, the music swelled as a jazz trio began their set, the saxophone weaving through the murmurs of shallow conversation. Naomi reemerged from the wine cellar with the requested bottle, her posture poised, her steps precise. She moved unnoticed, a ghost in the mansion she helped fund. "About time," the man muttered as she handed him the bottle. He didn't meet her eyes. He didn't have to. In his world, her gaze didn't matter. Naomi turned away, suppressing the surge of frustration. She had learned long ago that silence could be sharper than words. As she refilled a glass near the dessert table, a young caterer with freckles and nervous energy leaned toward her. "Hey," he whispered, "I saw you get out of that black car this morning. Was that a Tesla?" Naomi offered a faint smile. "Electric engines are quieter," she said softly, then moved on. In the hallway, her phone buzzed again. She ducked behind the coat rack and checked the screen. "Boardroom ready. Your speech draft looks great. Final review?" Naomi's fingers hovered over the screen. Her heart beat steady, but her resolve had sharpened. She typed back, "Almost time." When she returned, a woman with a wide-brimmed hat snapped her fingers. "Sweetheart," she said without turning her head, "this napkin has a wrinkle." Naomi picked it up, replaced it with another, and murmured, "Of course, ma'am." But her voice no longer sounded like submission. It carried something else now: calm power. The event was building toward its climax. A champagne tower sparkled near the garden entrance. Photographers milled around, capturing moments of curated generosity. Naomi, standing near the hydrangea bushes with a serving tray in hand, looked out across the crowd. The time was drawing close. Her mask, graceful and quiet, was about to come off. A bell chimed gently from the front veranda, signaling the start of the speeches. Guests gathered around the floral arch draped in pale silk and ivy, their chatter turning into a hum of anticipation. At the front, Margaret Montgomery, hostess of the event and self-proclaimed philanthropy queen, stood beneath the arch, her diamond necklace catching the late afternoon sun. "Thank you all for being here," she beamed, arms wide. "Together, we've raised over $500,000 for educational outreach in underserved communities, because every child deserves a future." The crowd applauded politely, glasses raised. Naomi stood just behind the archway, her serving tray lowered. The briefcase was at her feet now, subtle but purposeful. A journalist from City Times seated near the front suddenly tilted her head. Her eyes narrowed. Then she gasped. "Wait, is that Dr. Naomi Carter?" The crowd hushed. Heads turned in slow motion. Margaret blinked, confused. Naomi stepped forward, slow and steady, her apron still tied, but her presence was different now, commanding. "Yes," she said clearly, voice calm but resonant. "I'm Dr. Naomi Carter." A collective breath was drawn from the crowd. Margaret froze mid-smile. Naomi continued, "I hold a doctorate in neuroscience. I'm the founder of the Carter Initiative, and my team helped fund this event, including the educational programs you just applauded." She lifted the silver briefcase, opened it carefully, and pulled out a check. It gleamed under the sun, signed by her, made out to the foundation, for 7 figures. "Before you ask, yes, I volunteered to work here today because I wanted to see what happens when people believe you have nothing to offer." Silence. Thick, awkward, suffocating silence. Margaret opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Naomi folded the check and placed it gently on the podium next to her. She didn't gloat. She didn't need to. Her truth was undeniable. For a long, breathless moment, no one moved. Even the birds seemed quieter, as if nature itself had paused in disbelief. The guests stood frozen, half-finished mimosas in hand, polite smiles stiff on their faces. No one looked at Naomi directly, not anymore. They couldn't. A man in a pastel blue suit, the same one who had joked earlier about teaching the help some manners, tugged awkwardly at his collar. "Dr. Carter," he stammered, stepping forward, I honestly didn't know. Please don't think we—" Naomi raised one eyebrow. He stopped mid-sentence, guilt coating his face like sweat. Another woman muttered into her drink, "We love your work," as if flattery could undo insult. But Naomi's silence said everything. She didn't need to argue. The room had already lost the illusion. The servers near the buffet, once quiet and stoic, now stood straighter. One of them, a girl with braids tucked into a cap, nodded toward Naomi with quiet admiration. Margaret Montgomery was still rooted to the floor, her speech notes fluttering in the breeze like paper-thin pride. Naomi turned to her. Their eyes met. "You didn't know," Naomi said gently, "and that is the problem." The crowd remained hushed. A new kind of silence, one that didn't come from etiquette, but from truth cutting through comfort. Naomi reached down, picked up her silver briefcase, and turned toward the main walkway. No one dared block her path. As she passed the catering station, she placed a folded note on the counter, her real tip, a personal thank you to the workers who had watched her carry the weight of the room. At the garden gate, a young staffer ran up, breathless. "Dr. Carter, does this mean you're canceling the donation?" Naomi turned, her smile calm and deliberate. "No," she replied. "I'm not here to punish. I'm here to remind people what grace looks like." Then she walked away, her steps steady, her head high. Behind her the air hung heavier. The garden was no longer just a stage. It had become a mirror. The heavy oak doors of the Montgomery estate shut behind her with a satisfying click. The world inside faded. Champagne laughter, tight smiles, hollow applause. All of it left behind. Naomi walked down the stone steps, still wearing her crisp white apron over her designer heels. The contrast was poetic and intentional. The valet who had ignored her that morning now stood straighter, almost bowing as he opened the door to a sleek black sedan. I didn't realize," he began. Naomi simply nodded. No anger, no smugness, just quiet acknowledgement. Then she stepped into the leather seat and closed the door herself. The car pulled away, the mansion shrinking in the rearview mirror. 15 minutes later, an elevator dinged softly on the 43rd floor of a downtown skyscraper. Naomi stepped out. No apron now. She wore a tailored navy suit, a simple gold watch, and a confidence that filled the room before she even spoke. Her assistant approached immediately, tablet in hand. Board meeting in 20 minutes. Singapore call at 4. And Forbes confirmed. They're doing the cover story. Naomi smiled, not because she had proven anyone wrong, but because she had always known her worth. She took a deep breath, stepped into the boardroom, and sat at the head of the table. The same hands that had once cleared plates now opened billion-dollar investment portfolios. And this time, no one would mistake who she was. Not ever again.